Hey there, welcome to the Jeff and Heidi Show, where you're going to have the opportunity to listen to and learn from everyday entrepreneurs.
Hi, this is Heidi Anderson from ECI Secure Pay, and I'm here with my co-host Jeff Heggie of Jeff Heggie Coaching, and we are really excited today to introduce you to Coach Judy. I met Judy through an organization called Fish Florida, of all things. I met the lady who started that on LinkedIn, and I ended up actually joining the organization, and Coach Judy is a member, and she reached out to me soon after that. We had a really nice conversation, and I got to hear a lot about how she's really kind of a pioneer in a way. She's been doing a lot of the things that we're doing now, but for a lot longer. So without any further ado, here's Judy. Please tell us, about how your entrepreneur journey got started.
Well, actually, I'm like many people out there, went through a major challenge. That's something you would not believe. And I found that I had learned so much through the experience and all the different people that ended up becoming a part of my life that I wasn't anticipating. I had no knowledge they existed, or even how to even handle myself, the do's and the don'ts. And I'll just say it was illegal, and being a single parent. So I decided when it was over, and actually a little bit before, because I was pretty sure I was going to be successful, I decided to start a group for moms and dads of single parents and even grandparents, really anybody who was dealing with the issues of single parenting. And so I created the National Single Parent Resource Center back in 1992 and a nonprofit in 94. And that opened up my career, my new opportunity, because I was an insurance agent prior to that, and did many other things. And it was like, I've got to help people. I have learned so much. I became, without realizing it, a sponge. And I had knowledge that people didn't know that they needed to know when going through a divorce, or having to go back into family court, or just going into court in general, as a matter of fact, because it's all very similar. And I created the National Single Parent Resource Center, and I did all types of programs for single parents. We did support groups, we did social events, we had resources. And then my career launched into other areas.
So what was the next step you took? I mean, does that organization still exist, right?
It still exists. We're basically, since the 90s, a 211 resource hotline. And we're looking to develop, as we get more people who would like to get involved, either from a financial or from a volunteer pay it forward program, because there's such a need, especially with the pandemic, there's a need for, as I call it, empowerment groups for single parents, but it really needs to be broken down in a couple different areas. One I want to do is for the professional people who are single parents and those who are economically challenged, because I do find the issues and the abilities are different, and you need to speak into a language that everyone can understand at the level that they're at, to provide the information and be able to direct them, because some people can afford the attorneys, they can afford whatever it is needed, whereas others don't. And it's like, well, I have no money, where do I go? And there are resources, and then it's getting into their mind to understand how to. But then I did take it to the next step, is that I then became an expert by coaching single parents in dealing with the family court system. So I'm a recognized expert in divorce and single parent coaching, but then I expanded it in two ways. Number one, in the last several years, I've expanded it to doing anybody who would like to achieve success from the inside out and get what it is that they really want to have, and they don't understand why, and don't realize that there is so much into who you are, and what energy you put out there does create, as you know in our conversation, just in talking, what type of energy and connection do you build? And what type of people do you want to be associated with if you're not getting what you want? So that is why I did expand it to everybody who wants coaching. As I say, it's like learning about yourself in a different way and really getting your inner self being the direction in a positive, productive way. And then I'm building a one-stop shop that I'm working with Fish Forla on as well, so that there are all kinds of resources for everyone on all subject matters, and even for businesses, to bring businesses together as well. And then I've also, because of my work and reaching out to the media early on, because my story was one of those not believable stories, it opened a keg of worms of getting to know the media, the professional, other attorneys and PR, and it just, launched from there. But it was really learning firsthand and going through errors. And now, as I build up and grow and expand in a different way, and all the funds that come in for whatever I do go to the nonprofit, I've learned the errors of the past and applying the knowledge that I've gained from it. So really, for everyone out there that's listening, it's always important to be open-minded. If you really want to feel good inside, you want to reflect that on the outside and achieve your goals, whether it's in business, in your personal life, relationship, or even just building up your business. It's like, what do I need? Who else can I benefit from?
So when you're working with a client, whether it's a single parent or one of the others, what are the things that you focus on? How do you bring that out of them that you're talking about?
Well, I really ask questions into what is it that they want to achieve, number one. And through experience and knowledge and understanding human behavior, I then do an assessment from the way they're even talking and communicating with me, and what they are saying kind of opens the door as to where we need to go and focus on. Plus, I also ask the clients, what is it that you want to achieve? What is it that you're finding that you're not getting and wondering why? So it really is like an assessment time. It's really getting to know them and finding out what are their needs. Is it a client that maybe has issues that I'm not qualified, that I may have to refer them out and work with that person if necessary?
So basically, you're kind of showing people, from my understanding of it, but kind of what you put out in the world is what you get back, right?
Exactly.
And if you're not getting what you want, then you have to pay attention to the energy you're putting out.
Exactly, energy, but also the other part that people kind of don't quite catch, so I don't like to throw it out right in the beginning. It's about your inner self. Who are you on the inside? Because if you don't really understand what motivates, who you really are, or may not realize what's coming across because it's not quite right, and you're not listening to those hidden messages that we all get in our stomach that are visceral, and you just ignore it, well, you're not working from the inside and working from who you are and creating from that positive and teaching people how to turn the negative energy that's coming out. How do we deal with the negative so we can be more positive? So our mindset is thinking, what can I do? Like, for example, during this pandemic, so many people and students, they're committing suicide. They are giving up. They're becoming mentally really in bad shape because they don't have a foundation, as I call it, of how to really cope when things don't go in the way they want in life. So it's teaching and helping them to understand what it is that you can do that can make things positive, whether it's just a thought, whether it's an action that you can do yourself under the circumstances. And taking action that's going to help is being positive. So people don't really understand how they can do it because nobody's taught them.
I think you really hit on a key subject right now with the pandemic. And I mean, not only youth, it's everybody, but so many people dealing with depression, anxiety, and not knowing how to deal with everything that we're going through. It's hard to give a blanket statement, but just for all our listeners, if that is something they're dealing with, what are the first things they need to look at doing to overcome that?
Okay, what I say to people, and I do it to myself too. There are times we all get down a little bit. We're all human, and if you don't, then there really is something wrong, especially under the pandemic. That's one red flag for yourself. The other thing is to say, okay, what did I achieve today? Now, if you're an overachiever and you're a business person, it might be, what did I do today that contributed to the work that I do? Did I make a phone call? Did I make some notes? And if you did anything of action to move forward, well, that's a positive. And it may not be what you are accustomed to doing or want to do, because a lot of people out there have physical issues, they have limitations, and they think that they have to just give up. And as one who goes through those experiences, it's like, no, I'm not going to let certain things hold me back. As long as I can do, or you can do something a little bit in that direction, then pat yourself on the back, feel positive because you were able to do something, versus laying in the bed, feeling sorry for yourself and thinking, oh, poor me, because right now it's all poor me because we're all living through it, but we all have different coping skills or achievements that we have to have. And if you don't have them, then I help you create that, as I call it, the foundation to build and grow your mind and your inside, so that no matter what you're going through at any time, you have the basic skills to keep your mind as healthy as possible.
Yeah, I feel like it's like when you look at what this last year has been, it really creates a lot of overwhelm for people. And like you said, this urge is just, I'm just going to stay in bed and pull the covers over my head because it's just too much. But if you can chunk it down and do like baby steps, right? And like you said, whether it's just picking up, making one phone call, or picking or reading a book or something that, you know, that can help shift your mindset.
And also the other thing is I want to bring out, because I think that people need to be validated and they're not validated enough for how they're feeling, to know that if you're not feeling to do anything for several days or even a week, tell yourself that's okay, because my body is telling me something. So accept it, don't resent it. And if you can work that out, you're going to be ahead in the game. And what I'm saying is something that you use for life through any difficult situation. And when I was going through this legal situation and being successful, I said to myself when it happened, I said, if I don't keep my head mentally healthy, I'm going to lose. And that's really with anything, is keeping your mind healthy. And through that, and reaching out to strangers, learning the knowledge that I needed for that particular time, having some friends who are in similar situations, and getting to know and understand the dynamics of the system I was in, made it very supportive and helpful to have an idea of what I was facing. Not that it always helped all the time, but it gave me the knowledge to understand and to act on it. And it works for everything in life today. Because I say is, people have said to me with the things I've gone through, Judy, I don't know how you've gotten through these things. Because they figured I could be 6 feet under, or I could be, in a loony bin. Yes. And I said, well, because I want to survive. I want to live. I know there are things out there. I may not be feeling it right now, but I know logically there are things out there. There are people doing it. If they can do it, I can do it. So it's like getting back to the coaching, it's really getting somebody who is really down or angry and just totally like just almost existing. It's like going and helping them and pointing out to them what they are showing immediately, and of course giving them some positive validation that they can use as a foundation to go through. Plus, it's also good when you're at the point is making a list of what are the things you need to do. What is it that you're feeling? What can I look at and really do? Like if you're not feeling well or you've got chronic conditions, like, well, what can I do that day? So you have some already key directions or key tools, as I call them, that you can use. So when you're ready and you're down, you've got a place to go and a direction to go, because so many people don't have a real direction and they're just like all over the place. And with our mind, it makes our mind all over the place. So how can you function well?
Thank you. This is some great information, but I want to shift a little bit, because I'm interested in hearing, I guess, I don't know the behind the scenes, but the entrepreneurial journey part of when this all began to where you are now, you know, taking it from how you started with the single parents to where you're coaching now. Talk about your entrepreneurial experience and how that's been.
Okay, well, it's been an interesting journey, because I just used what I knew, because I fortunately was lucky, and I know it. And I know a lot of people didn't have the opportunities. I had a family, they had a business, and everything was talking business. And we opened up a blueprint business as a family. So I learned how to do marketing. But what I found that I didn't learn, which was a detriment, was that I didn't know the inside mechanics of the business end of it, the negotiations and all of these things. So when I look back, it was like I didn't always have the right people on my team to help give the direction where I was weak. It was really about what they could do for them and not so much giving back. So that's one thing that I learned as entrepreneurs. Who do you line yourself up with to help you is key. Not just taking anybody who sounds good, but really, are you on the same page, mind-wise, and goals that way? It was then also learning about pricing. I'm also a talk show host, so this is a very common thing I'm doing. I started in 2002, having done interviews on the other side by newspapers, TV stations, and radio shows, and so on. And then I had somebody say, how would you like to do a TV show? And never thought of doing a TV show. So by having the right people to stimulate thoughts of doing different things is what helped to lead in learning the entrepreneur part of it and the mechanics of a business. It's also the accounting aspect. Are you an accountant? And of course, today with all the apps, it's great for accounting standpoint of just entering the information in. So you have to look as an entrepreneur as like, what areas do I need to know that I don't even know? And even before you get into it, it might be a good idea to learn a little bit first, because I was one that just jumps head in. But I have an idea, I just jump into it. So, and I did, as a matter of fact, I had a, what do you call it, a pantyhose business for a while. So
pantyhose?
What?
Pantyhose?
Pantyhose. It was the JR Express pantyhose business.
Oh.
Yes. So I always did a little things. I always was like, when I was young and didn't have to work and I was pregnant and looking for things to do, I got into candy making and started making candy and started selling and just going. And I realized when I look back, I was like, I knew what I was enjoying doing, and I just went and I talked about it. So that's where I find today, I look back and see, where did I make the mistakes of what people did I have in my life, or what people I should have had in my life. It's also being and going to the different groups and networking so that you can get out and meet people to network, to help grow and build alliances and relationships. Because if you're somebody who is very shy and doesn't really like to be around people, well, then you need to think about a business where you're not really doing much interacting. So those are a lot of the different things. I mean, I even sold Tupperware, way back when. So I tried, like all of us as moms early on, all of these different businesses so that I was confident in what I had, because I believed in what I was selling and doing. And that was the key. And learning from the other people how to do things better.
You make a great point, and there's a great book that just came out recently from Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan called Who Not How, because as entrepreneurs, a lot of times that's the first thing we think of is, okay, how are we going to do that? And if we can shift that to who can help me do that, we can really accelerate our growth a lot of times. So thank you on that. And yeah, I really appreciate the accounting comment, because I was in that same situation. Heidi's an accounting type person, and she dreams of the spreadsheets and stuff like that. But that was my first, I would say that was my best first decision in my company, was getting a numbers guy in there, and he made all the difference in my company. And so I appreciate that.
And if you get somebody who's done it, maybe you can bring in someone who could be like a mentor to you, so that you can look and work and be of help, because this is what I like people to understand. Nobody knows everything. I don't care how successful Jane Bozo's and all the, I don't care how successful. Everybody is lacking or weak in some area. So it's like, what are your weaknesses and where do I need to find those? And this is also important. It's like looking at as a team, because if we can work as a team where everybody benefits, you're expanding and growing in so many different ways, not just the business, but you personally are growing as well. And you pick up information that you don't even realize until later on. Like, wait a minute, I heard, oh, Jeff said that. Oh yeah, now I remember. Now it's clicking in.
Right, absolutely. So continuing on the entrepreneurial part of things, what, in whatever role it is, you can share whatever you'd like, but what has been what you would consider your biggest failure, and what did you learn from it?
My biggest failure is that I didn't realize I was getting into situations that I didn't really understand, because I was never taught through my family the inside workings. It was like, for example, my father said, here, take this book and go out and sell. I looked at him. I said, Dad, I don't know anything about it. He says, Judy, just go out and let people know you're here and take the catalog and show them. And I tell you, here's an interesting story. The first time I went to this one place, the woman, it was blueprints. So anybody knows architecture, everything else will understand what I'm talking about. And I was an outfit. I knew nothing. Well, I went into this one, and I'll never forget their name. And it was one of these women who was a tough, hard type of person. And she's asking me all these questions. I said, I really don't know. I'm just trying to let you know we're here, and these are the things that we have in the catalog. But I said to her, I said, well, if you'd like, I can call the president of the company, and I can get them on the phone, and they can help you. That made all the difference in the world. So it's really about how quick is analyzing the person that you have to deal with. It is, do you know that you can really handle that personality to even work with? So I felt fortunate that I learned it was really about me and what I offered and did. And also I did it with care, concern, eager to be of help, to the other person, and in the end, generate business. And we did get the account and many other accounts as well, because I just went in, I was honest. I believe in, if you're honest with people and even admit you don't know something or something happens, I think it builds a greater respect, because you're being you. You're not putting on the facade that so many people out there do. So it's like, I'm just me, whether my hair is looking good and I'm out working, or just whatever, or I look terrible when I'm out. It's like, this is Coach Judy. I'm real and I care, and I'm about honesty, and that you have a heart, because if you really work in your heart, you're going to have success. So that all ties into the entrepreneur aspect of even trying something new, is having a backup that you can go to get your questions answered. If you're really new in an area, always have that available, because that makes it easier to handle different types of clients that you may be seeing, or customers, whatever your business may be. As you're building, you've got somebody you can go to, and that will also keep you more relaxed as an entrepreneur, because you're not struggling all by yourself. And too many people really go out all by themselves, or they're afraid to go to the networkings or whatever it is. And so part of an entrepreneurship is being open to really going past what you're comfortable with, because I know the first time I did a TV show, I had never done one. I'm like, oh my God, okay. How am I going to do, and am I going to sound okay, and so on. I did it. I got an adrenaline rush without realizing I was hooked. So it's really, just going out there and just going past that comfort zone, because if you do, that really could be your asset. Try something different that you have to do within a business model that you're not comfortable with, because it's going to end up building confidence in you. It's going to be building in an energy within you, because you have really done something that you never thought you could do, and that comes through.
That's one thing I work with my clients is telling them, big or small, step out of your comfort zone every day, because your comfort zone expands so much. I mean, after you went and visited with that first lady and ended up calling someone to help you answer questions and stuff, I'm sure the next visit was that much easier, because you had already done that. And so when you can step out of your comfort zone on a regular basis, you go on that TV show the first time. Well, the second time's easier. And, by the 10th time, it's like you could do it in your sleep.
Exactly. And what it is, you're not nervous, because again, it comes back to from within. If you feel comfortable with yourself and also know you're going to make mistakes and know it's okay, what do you have to be afraid of? I think it's like fear of success, fear of how do you do that, and fear of reaching out for the different parts that you need in a business. And again, I learned when building up the nonprofit, I was very successful in many ways, but in a profit for the nonprofit, I wasn't, because of the fact that I thought, if you do this, this will happen. And now when I look back and analyze, it was like, instead of waiting for certain things to happen, it really was for me to go out and contact them. It's like with different guests that as a matter of fact, I interviewed Steve Jobs on my show. And of course, it was as he was building his Apple business. And I had no idea who I was really speaking to. And then I've had other well-known people on the show, and I never thought about building real relationships with them. So it's like now when I do the talk shows, it's like I'm also building a relationship with them as well. And it's worked out because I have a guest that, as you may have heard of, his name is Dave Peltzer. He wrote the book, A Boy Called It. And he's been recognized for it by 4 U.S. presidents, the Air Force, international recognition, and a whole lot of, kudos. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And it was somebody who referred him to me. And here I'm calling this gentleman who wrote this book, and he's done all these things. And I'm got a call. And it was like, well, I talked to all these people. Just going to call and just, talk and compliment the book and speak to the person I had to speak to. Now we have a great relationship. We did the show. The first show did not go right, so we had to redo it. And then at the end of the first show we completed, it was like, I really like your show. So after the show, I said, I wouldn't mind coming back on. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Dave Peltzer, we really connected. He's coming back on when he's able to again. And that was the key point. I realized I wasn't doing, as a talk show host, really building real relationships with my guests. They were on, and that was it.
What is the theme of your talk show? Is it
I call it the Coach Judy Variety Show for achieving personal and professional success, because everything I do is tied into bringing in information and making it able for people to reach out to those resources. And that's why I decided for everyone, because I had done this with the National Single Parent Resource Center, is I'm going to build vendor memberships, and they're going to be listed. And depending upon their budgets, they can then be actually a guest and come on the Coach Judy Variety Show. And know they're going to get exposure to over 200,000 people plus. And as like right now, I'm working to get some new sponsorships. And it's like, okay, what do I have to do different now to get the sponsorships that relate to what I am actually offering, and know that I have to give it in different packages in order for anybody who has a company that's going to advertise or wants exposure, that they can actually afford to come on and be, as I call it, a vendor member, going into advertising or sponsorships, whatever it may be. We have it for anybody who's doing any real marketing.
So do you have, I know you worked a lot with single parents, obviously, in the beginning. Do you have like an ideal client now, like an avatar?
Yeah, an avatar would be my idea of a client from learning as an entrepreneur and going through the maze and learning. Is I'm looking for a client who is more on the professional side that can actually afford the cost to do proper coaching with them, and for whatever length of time is necessary and can afford it, and then let that the funds that actually by those who can afford it is then do a program for those who have no funds and need some coaching. So that is what I'm looking to do now as far as building and growing what I am doing now, and also do coaching or be part of the radio show and our vendor member directory. So I'm really working on both ends. I'm working on as building the resources, and I'm also working on doing individual who have the funds to pay for proper coaching. Like I have a client right now, and he needed it so badly, if somebody referred it. So I gave him a one-time price, and I said, that's it. No one, I would never go that low. But you have a friend, they need help, and somebody's recommending. So you try to figure out a way, but it was like, you're the only one. That's it, because it's like nothing, but at least it's somebody who needs it and can really appreciate the knowledge that they're getting from the coaching. But it's people who can afford, and the professional people who need it, because a lot of professional people are so stuck on themselves, they forget the inside that is also turning away people around them.
Right.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Judy. Can you also, just for anyone that wants to stay in touch with you, share any of your contact information, your website, social media, anything like that?
Sure, I've got several. First of all, my website is coachjudy.info. It's a new redone website. We're still building up the directory, but we are able to put businesses who want to list with us in our directory. And we also can be reached at judy@coachjudy.info. I'm on Facebook. I have different groups for the National Student Resource Center, for the coaching, for the talk show, as well as for those who love dogs and cats. I do want to also let people know that real quickly is that one of the things that I achieved that I never expected is that I was honored in Washington, D.C. by an international organization with the National Phoenix Award. So that in itself, you don't know what can come, and the awards and recognitions you can receive. And if you're a person who likes that, that could be something of a driving force for you to get out of your comfort zone.
That's very cool. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Well, thank you for being with us. It's been great talking with you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been very enjoyable, an opportunity to share some great information to your listeners. And please feel free to call. I'm here to help. I care about you. And if you don't make that call, you don't know what you're missing.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach Judy.
Bye-bye.